Start with the big question of oral. Your boss have made it a point to update the nation regularly. Where are we with oral since the committee presented its work and from the last update?
Yeah, thank you. Let me just put things in perspective. Oral basically is to pursue things that belong to the state, which we believe have been, taken away from the state into private pockets unlawfully. And we are not just pursuing the persons who are suspected to have stolen these things, but we are also pursuing the stolen items themselves. If it is money, to recover. If it is money, we want to recover the money. If it is any physical asset, the aim is to recover it. To do that, you are caught in between the desire to recover and the rule of law. So the law provides guarantee for persons who are subject of criminal proceedings. So you have to balance the desire to recover, to prosecute, and to bring people to justice, as well as the rule of law, which protects human rights, which protects these persons and materials from state, interferences. Now, if you take the criminal procedure, so let's begin with, let me give you an outline of what actually we have to do. So you see, the criminal proceedings begin from complaint. So there are about 7 steps. The first one is that somebody must make a complaint, or there is a complaint or suspicion, reasonable suspicion of a public officer or of a police officer. So that's the beginning. So when the person brings the complaint, the next thing you do is to commence investigation. So that's the second stage, investigations. Investigations basically to gather evidence, because when a person comes to tell you that this person has stolen this money, and he even gives you some documents or even some evidence of it, you cannot just carry what he has given you or the information to court. You need to confirm the veracity of this evidence and whether they are even things that can survive scrutiny in the court. So that will require you to conduct further investigation. Now, after investigation, you now come to docketing. That's the third stage. That is, you are building dockets from the investigation. So the investigators go out there, they bring you huge boxes of documents. Some of them are relevant, some of them are not. And so the investigators, the attorneys, we do the docketing. We look at the evidence they bring. We build a docket out of the evidence. Now, this docket is not just materials that you think will help you to convict the accused. The law says that even materials that will make you give the accused a defense, or we call them exculpatory, materials, the things that the defense can rely on to even go scot-free, you have to provide all that. So you build a docket. Then, after the end stage of the docket is to draft your charge sheet. So you see, it will take you several weeks of building the docket. Then you now arrive at the conclusion that these are the charges that I have to bring against the accused. That involves a lot of thinking, a lot of analysis, a lot of strategy. Because the fact that the person has stolen and you have evidence of stealing doesn't mean that you should go by stealing. It could be that there's another offense which is more likely to be proved, or which has even better chances of success. So you weigh all this, then you finish your charge sheet. Then you now charge the accused person. The suspect then he becomes an accused person. And now you start the arraignment. So I think the 5th stage is arraignment. To arraign the person before a court. Now carry the person to court, and then they read the charges, they read the facts to the person, then they ask him to plead, whether guilty or not guilty. Then the trial begins. And within this trial, there are so many things. First of all, you have to do disclosures, and then do case management conference to put the accused person on notice that this is the body of evidence we have against you. Have a look at all of them. There's also another body of evidence that we believe would help you to win the case. Take all of them, look at them, and then decide which one you want to object to, which one you don't want to object to. So we conduct case management conference to agree on that. Just a while ago, when we just finished the first stage of the case management conference with the Edubwahini case. And I'm sure your reporters will tell you, it took us how many? I think almost 2 to 3 hours to finish the case management conference, because it's a huge body of documents that we have submitted. Then after that, you start calling your witness. So the prosecution will now build its case. It will take you several weeks, even if you do it day by day. It will take you several weeks. Then after that, your evidence will now be tested whether a prima facie case has been made out of against the accused person. Accused may open their defense after after that has been determined that the prima facie case has been made out. Then they will now also call their witnesses to provide evidence to say that what you have done is not, I'm not guilty because I have justification for the things I have done. That will take you almost the same time that the prosecution, or even more. Then after that, the court, rises and gives a judgment. After judgment, sentencing comes. Then, if you are successful, the accused person is carried to prison to serve the term. Then you can see the criminal procedure in terms of trial has ended. But because we are doing oral, there is another aspect of it, recovery of the assets. That is a completely different procedure. So it begins with you identifying some assets that you believe are proceeds of crime. Then you make a court application first to freeze the assets so that the assets will not be dissipated or, how do I call it, or transferred or used at the end of the day. So you preserve the assets. Now, when you preserve the assets, you now need to show the court that these are proceeds of crime. And if the court agrees with you, then you recover. Some of these processes are even civil. So, for example, I know that there's evidence that someone has entered into a contract with the state. He has signed a contract, let's say, to build a road. He has been given some monies, maybe first phase, he has been paid to build the road. You go to the site, there's no evidence of work. You may bring an action for money had, so there's a cause of action called money had and received in law. It means that we have given you money to do something and we have not derived value for it. So you bring such an action, a civil action, for the person to bring the money back voluntarily. So that is the recovery stage. These activities take a lot of time. And so, but you have to be diligent because the nature of criminal law is that the least doubt, reasonable doubt, we'll just let the accused person go. It doesn't matter what you think you have. If there's any doubt in the process, in everything that I've said, if there's any doubt, the accused person goes, the money goes. So it requires a lot of diligence. Now, to answer your question, where are we? Now that we have the context, where are we in oral? So currently we have, in terms of actual prosecution, we have the two main cases in court. Those cases we have done.
Which cases are these? So
we have the Sky Train, and then we have the Edubuahin case.
Edubuahin wasn't an oral, right?
Yeah, it wasn't part of the oral
committee.
Subsequent
to the oral committee, because again, you can put it within the general concept of oral, although it wasn't in the original committee. That was
true. Edubuahin was not part of the oral committee originally, so but it's part of the oral, project. Yeah. Now, there are a couple of other cases that investigation have concluded in respect of. So, if you take the national service,
yes,
is in different aspects. There's an aspect on the project that the National Service Secretariat, undertakes. So they have farms where they acquire property, they grow and sell, produce. That is there. Then there is the issue of paying ghost National Service persons. Let me put it generally. That is also there. There is also a third aspect. Now, of all these investigative reports, it's only ready for the aspect which is on the ghost names. It was submitted last week by the investigators. We have started building a docket on that. When the investigators came, they identified 22 accused persons for the National Service.
On the ghost names part?
Yeah, on the ghost name, 22 accused persons. Now, these 22, there are more people, but you have to weigh the cost of, in terms of time, effort, of bringing all these people to court and the benefit you get of retrieving the money. So we have to go through a certain process of having conversation with some of the accused persons. And I tell you, a lot of them, only a few are not willing, but a lot of them are willing to return the money.
Willingly?
Yeah, they are willing to. Some, so we enter no.
How much money in total are we looking at?
That's about 560 something million, over 500 million.
Over 500 million
cedis. That's what we are looking at
for this aspect. And these
alone.
22 individuals, you said, are the individuals that the investigators believe were responsible for that.
Exactly.
Loot, if you like.
Yeah, that alleged
loot.
Let's be
alleged loot.
Alleged loot. Yeah. So with these people, we have to. Some of them have shown desire to return the items, the monies, and to serve as what? Prosecution witnesses against the rest. So definitely, before we go to court, the number will not be 22. It will come down because we are still having conversation with these people. And then after we charge them, they also have, some of them also have an opportunity to do what we call plea bargaining, to come and say, well, we are guilty, but instead of sentencing us to this number of years, you can come down to this and we'll return this amount of money. So they give us the reasons why we should not go with them through the entire process. So that is in respect of national service. There are other, cases. So the oral report had, I think, 33 cases. I can tell you on authority that right now we are running over 50 cases.
Way beyond what the committee saw.
Yeah, because every day people are bringing new, there's whistleblowing going on. People are bringing new evidence, complaints, and I can tell you Ghanaians are really, you were right when you said that the oral is the ultimate determinant of what happened in 2020, because Ghanaians are really determined to get accountability. And every day, someone walks into the Attorney General office. Some come with lawyers, others come alone, and they have documents making complaints every day. So the number is actually increasing. Now,
against former government officials?
Yeah, against former government officials. Then
are some of them known elements within the former government themselves, or associates and affiliates of the MPP, or these are neutrals?
Well, some of them are neutrals, but most of them are government officials. And
so a part of the previous
government. Yeah, previous government.
And they themselves are coming forward with information against the government they were part of.
No, you mean the complainants?
Those come forward, yeah.
Oh, no. So far, I have not, I would have to speak with my boss, but I have not personally, no one who is a minister of the previous, government.
Or been a low-lying government official.
Oh, yeah, in terms of low-level government officials. Yeah.
They were in the government,
yeah,
generally.
Appointees, Appointees. Some of them have come out.
Come forward.
Yeah, come forward.
Former appointees, not exactly. Ministers, but generally on the scale of appointees are coming forward with information against their own former government.
Yeah, exactly. They are coming out with information against their own former colleagues. Some are high up. And you would, I respect, not that I respect, but I appreciate the demeanor of a lot of the government appointees. Once in a while you hear that someone has been picked up or someone has been invited on the media, and then there's a whole lot of noise. But I can tell you, a large number of the persons who have been arrested, who are on bail, who are under investigation, are quiet. They will not make any noise about it. Some of them believe that the process must, the process must be followed. It's only a few who, once in a while, come in the media, and then people are massing up to go to Iyoko. But there are a lot of them who go quietly, do what they are asked to do, and leave without any noise at all.
In fact, just last 2 weeks, the running mate of the former Vice President, Dr. Matuboko Prempeh himself was...
he said this.
He announced that NIB, he's been investigated by the NIB. He said he's been going to NIB for a while now.
Oh, okay.
And nobody knew that until he said it publicly.
Exactly.
You know about that case?
Yeah, I know about all the cases, from my office. So yes, that's so he's just confirmed what I'm saying. There are a couple of them who...
But what has he been investigated for? he put it out himself. I didn't know. What was he being investigated for?
A number of things, but he was a minister for energy and minister for education for the 8 years. So definitely we have projects that were undertaken during his time, and so he will definitely be answering questions in respect of that. The mathematical sets issues, those ones will fall under his ministry, but he's speaking from a position of office, office holder, and he has to speak to them unless, you will not be prosecuted unless there is evidence that you were complicit in some of the things, you know. So if you take the Sky train, for instance, Honorable Jogati at a point, I think, was invited, but he explained his side of the story. So when you look at the charge sheet for Sky train, he is not on it because...
Although he was a minister at the time.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that you're a minister doesn't mean that you will be criminally liable for anything. There are things that can happen in the ministry which may not be your doing. And so the fact that you're a minister, one, doesn't mean that you are guilty whenever there's a crime in your ministry. And the fact that you have been invited for questioning doesn't also mean that you are guilty. And like I said, the process I've outlined, you would see that you don't automatically or immediately go to court. You go to court when the evidence shows that the person or there's a crime. And so I've seen a lot of, on social media, are very active. Every day, they tag me. I receive hundreds of tags. All others complaining about why the process is not fast.
Yeah.
And then
So why is the process slow?
Yeah,
so that's why it took your time to explain that long process.
Exactly. And it's slow. It's not that it's slow, just that the public only gets to know when the person is maybe arrested and there's noise, or when the person is being taken to court, and the public gets to know. But the ladies and gentlemen in the investigative agencies, the police, the NIB, IOCO, Office of Special Prosecutor, all the agencies that conduct investigation, they are working extremely hard. You see how I don't sleep. I don't think they also sleep, because in the nights they are working, they are calling, they are asking for directives, they are applying for warrants, search warrants, freezing orders, arrest warrants, all this going on, some at short notice. And because, of course, if you want warrant to search a place, you cannot say you are going to give notice. All these things are going on. So it is not exactly true when we say that the process is slow. It's actually not slow. It's moving so quickly. The only thing is that not everything that we can put out as law enforcement, agencies, it's not everything that we can put out. Those that we need to put out, we would put out. But trust me, if you know what's going on, like you said about the Honorable former Education Minister. Yeah, he has said it. He's been going, but people wouldn't know. People wouldn't know that he's been going there.
Until said himself publicly.
Exactly. Yeah.
The recover part, that is a part that, as state, historically, we've been abysmal at recovery. People go to jail all the time when governments change. Why do you think oral will be different? When all attorney generals in the past have failed, they, yes, get people jailed, but the recovery, Wontumi, classic example. Your former NDC government actually started a prosecution. The government campaigned on it, won the elections, promised to recover. They've been in power for 8 years, and we don't know what the update is, how much of the 50+ million have they recovered. That is a challenge. Why do you think you will succeed where almost everybody else has failed? So
we will succeed in terms of recovery because, first of all, there is a process. It used not to, what we call this plea bargaining used not to be part of our laws. Now it is part, and one of the objectives of the plea bargaining is recovery. So now we have a legal framework for recoveries, but that is voluntary recovery. Now there is a compulsory recovery, which not compulsory in the sense that we are bound to, but we are developing a very sophisticated system of asset recovery at the Attorney General's Department. What these people do is to use every legitimate means possible to trace assets. So if you have an account, we would know all the accounts, bank accounts you have in Ghana. So if you were in the Kwabena Edu proceedings earlier today, and you see the documents we have put before the court as disclosures, about 60 of those documents were bank statements, bank account correspondences from banks on various accounts of the accused persons. So, and there is a chart that we have also disclosed as part of the process. Maybe if you go through the court process, you will find that it's been filed. It tells you, it shows you a clear picture of how money moves. You know, money is traceable. So it tells you that this money was moved from this account on this day at 2 p.m. And then you go and look for the accused person's bank account, let's say in X bank. You go there and you will see that at 3 p.m., the money which left here is there.
Although it wasn't a wire transfer.
Yes, you will see that it took cash. And then a few hours later, you see that that exact amount has been deposited into this person's account. And then you follow, maybe 2 days later, the money moved from there, the same amount of money, and is entering into a real estate company's account. And then you track, then you see that this is what the person bought. So if you look at the discoveries we have done in court today, you will see this movement. It will give you time, 2:15 in the morning of Sunday. This is what happened. We give you that is how sophisticated the asset recovery element is in this case. And it's applying to, we are doing it for all the other persons.
So you've set up a special unit within the Attorney General's
Office
for asset declaration? It has always been there?
It's not always been there. It used to be something that was, other agencies had it. But we believe that because most of the agencies are not prepared or are not equipped with that skill of asset, tracing, or the people they have trained are not, they don't have the skill to do that. There's a special unit, and that is what they do. So
asset tracing and recovery?
Yeah.
Is that what they're set up to do?
Yeah, they trace assets and they recover assets.
Were these people that you had repurposed that were already within the Attorney General's office, or you had to bring them?
Some of them are from IOCO. IOCO is hosting one of such investigating teams. So if you go to IOCO, most of them actually come from the IOCO economic and financial crime, economic crime office. Yeah, so that is what we do. So we are very deliberate on it this time around. Maybe previously, these were not part of what Attorney General's office, used to do. Yeah, they arrest you, they take you to court, they prove that you have stolen this money, and then there's no evidence that this is the money, this is where it went. So you can use your money to buy something and nobody cares or nobody would find out. But now we are taking steps to ensure that we trace assets. Some of the assets have been traced to foreign, countries, and
moved out of Ghana.
Moved out of Ghana, and the Attorney General is also in the process of engaging foreign investigators who also specialize in asset tracing. So a lot is going on.
I see. So people are not only moving money internally; they are shipping money also to offshore accounts.
Yeah.
But those offshore accounts often operate blindly. I mean, how are you going to track that? They can take it to a Cayman Islands, and those regimes have all these laws that protect.
Yeah, it's not everyone who carries their money to Cayman, for instance. Some just buy properties outside. Okay. They don't go through any elaborate scheme. Those ones.
So they are washing the money through real estate in other countries.
Exactly.
You found that in your investigations as well.
We charge. Almost all the charges we have filed, you see money laundering.
As part of it.
Yeah, as part of it.
I mean, that brings up the question of Chairman Wontumi. The accusation is that you are persecuting the man. Why are you persecuting Chairman Wontumi?
I don't think the government or the Attorney General's Department or any of the agencies we have is engaged in persecution of anyone, and definitely not Chairman Wontumi. The challenge we have as law enforcement agency is that it's not everything we can put out at every time that people make allegations of this kind, right? So, because we also are balancing the right of the suspects with what we want. So it is difficult, for example, for me to sit here and say, this suspect has done this, and that, when the investigative reports, when the docket has not been built. Once the docket is built, you will see that no one is persecuting Chairman Wontumi. No way. I spent my past decade or more doing, human rights defense in so many difficult cases, I will not come and sit in Attorney General's office and be happy persecuting or harassing someone who we merely believe or suspect to be doing something wrong. My boss would not do that. And President Mahama has made it clear that he is not in this oral business to persecute anyone. And we know, myself and my boss, we know very well that if there is any evidence of misuse of our offices to persecute even opponents of the government, we will not last in our offices for even 1 more hour. So we will not risk that.
The manner of his arrest, I mean, we're told the officers literally blocked his vehicle in what in the streets are going to pit maneuver and yanked him out of the car with mask and put him in another vehicle. What you see in the movies, and they sort of drove him up to another location. His lawyers claimed they were not given access to him initially. He is then kept there for as long as we know, but then, you know, given a bail condition that was pretty onerous, he couldn't meet them. That led to the protest. He came out looking like he suffered a stroke. At least we saw the videos. That is, according to those who accuse you, is a very definition of persecution.
So that's, yeah, I can understand them, but I disagree with what their view is. I can understand them in the sense that they don't have the full facts. And so they are watching what is being projected deliberately to them,
so what are
through
the
the
facts?
media. Like I said,
what don't we know?
Yeah, so I'll give you some of the facts, but not ones that I can't give. Like I said, it's not everything that law enforcement agencies are allowed to put out there. So, for example, the law enforcement agencies have been trying to arrest, or I mean, they've been trying to have Chairman Wontumi, you know, assist in investigations for weeks before his arrest.
Yeah, but he turned himself in.
Yeah,
He had gone the first day, cordially. The next day he showed up again.
So you recall,
he was cooperating.
You recall that before he came to Accra, there was a situation where his house was surrounded by national security and other law enforcement officials for hours. That should tell you how hard it has been for him. And before that, he himself, I think, mentioned it at the point that they wrote him a letter asking him to report and assist in investigation. But it appears he chose to treat it as, of course, it's an invitation, which you can ignore, and that is the law. If we are invited to police station, you may or may not go. But when you choose not to go or to go on your own terms, and the law enforcement agencies trigger the arrest option, I don't think you can say that is persecution.
But he went. Eventually, he drove to
Accra.
Accra.
Yes, he came to Accra.
He told you when he will come. He did.
With the police,
came on the...
he is not being investigated by just one agency. So he came to Accra on the police, you know, invitation. But that does not answer why he did not come to Yoko.
Did Yoko also write to him? Because we know about the police's invitation.
Yeah, you know about the police from him. He told the public that he has been written to.
But did Yoko write to him?
I cannot answer that question. But what I'm saying is that it is up to him to decide what to give to the public and what not to give to the public. But what we know is that every step that we have taken in respect of the situation, we did in accordance with law. And I think his lawyer confirmed that to the public at a point. So it is difficult for me to accept that there is persecution. Of course, I expect if there is persecution, there are procedures which the complainant
What is he being investigated for exactly?
Oh, his contracts with the state in terms of monies had and received is a technical term, which means that monies have been given for
to execute a project.
Yeah, that is one. His mining activities are under investigation. There are issues of vehicle, you know, purchase of vehicle. There are issues with our foreign partners, investigative agencies. You know, we partner with other foreign agencies who are interested in things that have been traced or suspicions of crime that have been traced to his business and he himself.
So you mean this is an investigation triggered not by us, but by our foreign partners?
No, so it is not that it will be triggered necessarily by our foreign partners, but our foreign partners are interested in what we are doing, and they assist us just as we assist them in the crimes that they fight. Because the world is, that's how the world law enforcement is going these days. It's cooperative, it's international, and all that. So they are interested in
Wontumi's case.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they suspect that proceeds of crime or materials which are subject to criminal proceedings have found themselves in his possession.
But why the foreign? Did he do something through the foreign countries?
That is something I cannot confirm. Not that I cannot put out at this point. But the point I'm trying to make is that we will not persecute anyone.
And this car import-export syndicate. Yesterday, your colleague, the government spokesperson, mentioned it as part of the investigations is because of a syndicate that it were bringing in cars into this country. How big a part of the investigation is that? Yeah, so it's taking shape. To be honest with you, I believe our international foreign partners are very much interested in the oral, movement, because we are assisting them just as they are assisting us to recover assets in their countries. So we write to them, they write to us, we discuss options, and then we take actions. So that is what is going on. What's the nature of this import thing? I mean, I'm just curious on that. Yesterday, I spoke to Felix Kwachufos, who mentioned it, but what's the nature of it? I cannot put that out because you need to understand, if I am here and I'm telling you the design, the scheme, what I'm also doing is to inform the suspects that we are looking for you in this direction, and then it helps them to evade investigation. But you're getting assistance from the foreign partners definitely to nail this one? Definitely. Okay. And that links to Oforiatta's thing. Because his family issued a statement 2 days ago, and they mentioned that yourselves, Foreign Affairs, appear to be assisting the OSP in pursuit of the red notice. What really is the nature of the assistance you've given the OSP on this? So the OSP, as we know, is having difficulty having the former minister, come to assist in investigations. That we all know for months. It gets to a point where we can't wait anymore because everything is time-bound. And so the OSP decide that they will seek international assistance. That's the red notice alert. The red notice alert is to tell everyone, all parties to the Interpol, treaty, that if you find this person in your jurisdiction, you can assist us to bring him back to face, justice in Ghana. And assistance comes in so many forms. So you can arrest him and keep him temporarily. Beyond that, there must be a formal extradition process to have the person. So the fact that you're on the red notice is not automatic that there's an arrest warrant for which you'll be extradited. There must be a separate extradition process which will now assist, or wherever you are found, then we can trigger that for you to be arrested. You go through extradition proceedings in the country, and then you are shipped to Ghana to face prosecution.